Okay, so I am making a video for teachers who are looking for a way to keep track of their cooldowns and also their problem sets. That way they can decide what they're going to give their students for checkpoints. And if you have your own method and you kind of already have an spreadsheet or an Excel document where you're keeping track of your students' work, then that's great. But I just kind of want to go over a new method so that if you don't have one and you're struggling to kind of figure out where to pull rosters from and how to set it up, then this at least gives you an idea. So the first thing that we need to do is in summitlearning.org, if you click on the Students tab, at the top, you're going to see the option to export. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Export. And you'll see something downloading on the side. When I click on it, it's going to open up an Excel document. And from here, all I really need is the student's first name, last name, and section. And I need the section because at the end it gives me the period that they're in. So I'm going to go ahead and delete student ID. I'm going to delete student email. I don't need that. And I'm going to delete everything after course. And so now I'm down to their first name, last name, and section. I'm going to go ahead and press Control A to select everything. And I need to format as table. My table has headers. Okay, now to organize this by period and also to ensure that it's alphabetized, I'm going to start by sorting it out A through Z by first name, sort A through Z by last name, and then I'm going to go ahead and sort the section as well, A through Z. So at this point, I can now see all of my students that are in first period because the section part ends with the number 1, and I can see their names and they're alphabetized. Okay, so what I need to do next is I need to, in one cell, put their last name and first name together. So I'm going to press equals, concatenate, parentheses. I'm going to select the cell for the last name first, then comma, space, quotation mark, comma, space, quotation mark, comma again, and then I'm going to select their first name again and parentheses again. I hope that you were able to keep up, but you can always rewind the video and see the code that I used. So now when I press enter, the concatenate option is going to put both of those last names together. Instead of kind of typing it in over and over, I'm just going to select the corner and kind of drop it down. And so automatically their names are going to now appear together like this. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I don't want their names to just depend on that one function, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. I'm going to copy them, Control copy. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just over here on the side, I'm going to press Control V to paste. You can also right click and just paste. And when I paste it, this is really important, I need to paste the values only. That way it's not dependent on a cell. These values just can kind of stand on their own. So at this point, I no longer need this column. I'm going to go ahead and delete the column. Okay, so now I'm going to delete this column too. Anyways, Now I have their names, last name and then first name, and they're kind of sorted out by period and alphabetized. So at this point, for each subject, I made a template. So I'm looking at the Algebra 1 template. All I'm going to do is, for my first period, I'm going to select their names, Control Copy or Control C, and then I'm going to paste them under student name. So as I'm looking at, let's say, the cool down for day 1, if I think that Itzamar made a green, I'm just going to type in a G and I'll see a little green kind of appear in that cell. Or let's say Daviana got a yellow, I just type in a Y and that turns that cell yellow. What I like to do is I like to just start with everyone at green, and then I kind of like to go back in and start typing in things like the student was absent, the student got a yellow, the student got a red, and that just kind of helps me keep everything in one spot organized. And as far as the rest of the periods, all I kind of have to do is copy and paste as well. So I'm going to do the same thing for second period. And I just kind of keep repeating this process for my third period. And for the rest of my periods, I just copy and paste those names. Now, I did, within that same document, if you scroll down, I also added Concept Unit 2, and I added in the checkpoints at the top and the days that those checkpoints were covered in, just to kind of make it easier on teachers if you're using the spreadsheet to just kind of keep everything together. So all I would have to do when my students move on to checkpoint 2 is, once I have these names, all I have to do is just copy and paste them down here. And I can use this area to then keep track of their cooldowns and problem sets as they're turning them in, as they're completing them at the end of those days. And so I hope that this helps. Now, one last thing. If you're like me and seeing all of their names in capital letter bothers you, there is a really good add-on that you can just find in Google. It's called Change Case. And so when you get that add-on, you can select first letter capitals, that option, and you can see that it automatically keeps the first letter in their name as a capital letter, but it makes every other letter lowercase. And so if you're kind of picky on formatting and whatnot, this is a free add-on, and it comes in really handy. Aside from that, let me know if you have any questions, and if there's days that you maybe like want to shift around or move, feel free to just unmerge cells and add cells as needed. Like if I select these two cells, I can kind of like insert cells and shift the rest to the right. Feel free to play around with it and use it as best works for you.